Spurs to run. Robinson ahead of the field has it. Oh, a 360 spin and slams it down.
Struck once for 3 years. Great pass. David Robinson, two-handed. You asked for it. There's the record. All-time leading scorer in Spurs history in NBA games.
Michael Jordan never did it. Hakeem Olajuwon couldn't pull it off. Shaquille O'Neal didn't come close. Even LeBron James, with all his longevity and versatility, hasn't checked every single box. In the history of the NBA, there's only one man who holds the golden resume. We're talking about a scoring title, a rebounding title, a block shots title, a Rookie of the Year, NBA MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year. Now finish it off with 2 NBA championships and 2 Olympic gold medals. This isn't just a list of trophies, it's the impossible career of David Robinson. Today we look at the man they call the Admiral, the only player to ever win it all, and the only superstar who had to walk away from the game for 2 years just to serve a higher purpose. David Maurice Robinson was born into a world of discipline. His father, Ambrose, was a U.S. Navy engineer, meaning David's childhood was a series of new cities and new schools. But here's the shocker. The most athletic 7-footer of his generation was a late bloomer in every sense of the word. At 16 years old, David was just 5'9". He wasn't a basketball prodigy, he was a math whiz. While other future NBA stars were dominating high school circuits, David was focused on his SATs, where he scored a massive 1320. He only started playing organized basketball after a huge senior year growth spurt that took him to 6'6". He didn't chase big-name colleges either. He chose the United States Naval Academy. He wasn't looking for the league, he wasn't looking for a commission, but biology had other plans. By his second year in Annapolis, he hit 7 feet 1 inch. He was now too tall to serve on a Navy ship, but he was exactly the right size to change the NBA forever. Robinson became the greatest player in Navy history, winning the Naismith and Wooden Awards. He was the obvious #1 overall pick for the 1987 NBA draft, but there was one massive problem that would make a modern-day GM sweat: the United States Navy. Because David had committed to the academy, he owed the government years of active duty. The San Antonio Spurs drafted him #1, knowing they wouldn't see him for 2 years. Imagine being the best basketball player in the world and spending your prime years at a submarine base in Georgia. For 2 years, David wasn't the Admiral of the Spurs. He was Lieutenant Junior Grade Robinson. The media questioned if he'd be soft. They wondered if he'd lose his edge. He was an officer first, a ball player second. That internal struggle, balancing duty to country with a once-in-a-lifetime talent, created a pressure cooker. When he finally walked into the Spurs locker room in 1989, the expectations weren't just high, they were astronomical. And David Robinson didn't just meet those expectations, he shattered the record books. He led the Spurs to a 35-game improvement, the greatest turnaround in NBA history at the time. He was the unanimous Rookie of the Year. Then came the golden era of his stats. 1991, rebounding title. 1992, block shots title and Defensive Player of the Year. He was the anchor of the 1992 Dream Team, the greatest collection of talent ever assembled. But the pinnacle of his individual dominance came in 1994. In a heated battle with a young Shaquille O'Neal for the scoring title, David did the unthinkable. On the final night of the season, he dropped 71 points against the Clippers. He snatched the scoring title in the final hour. In 1995, he was officially crowned the league's MVP. He was a 7-foot math genius who could outrun guards and outmuscle centers. He was the perfect human of the NBA. But perfection has a price. In the 1995 playoffs, the narrative shifted. David Robinson, the MVP, ran into Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. In one of the most famous head-to-head matchups ever, Hakeem dismantled the Admiral. Critics began to whisper. They said David was too nice. They said that he was a regular season hero who couldn't lead a team to a ring. The Spurs were eliminated year after year. Then, tragedy struck. In 1996, David suffered a devastating back injury, followed by a broken foot. He played only 6 games. The Admiral was 31, his body was failing, and the Spurs were the worst team in the league. It looked like his window had closed forever. In the NBA, luck is just as important as skill. Because the Spurs were so bad in '96, they ended up winning the draft lottery and took Tim Duncan at #1 overall. But here's where David Robinson earned his legendary status. Most MVPs would have fought for the spotlight. Most superstars would have resented the new kid. But David Robinson, the former naval officer, understood the chain of command. He famously set his ego aside. He mentored Duncan. He moved from the number one scoring option to the team's defensive backbone. He became the ultimate big brother. They were dubbed the Twin Towers, and together they built a defensive wall that no one in the NBA could climb. In 1999, the wait came to an end. David Robinson finally lifted the Larry O'Brien trophy. But the perfect ending came in 2003. It was David's final season. He was 37 years old, playing on a bad back, but he had one last mission. In Game 6 of the 2003 Finals, with the world watching, the old Admiral returned. 13 points, 17 boards, and 2 blocks. He helped clinch his second championship and walked off the floor as a winner for the final time. He didn't just retire. He conquered the game. David Robinson didn't just leave a basketball legacy. He left a blueprint for life. He founded the Carver Academy. He earned a master's degree in 2011 because he wanted to understand how to build businesses to help others. When the NBA named its 75th anniversary team, David was locked in as the 20th greatest player to ever live. But remember that list from the beginning of this video. The scoring, rebounding, and block titles, the MVP, DPOY, and Rookie of the Year, the 2 rings, and the 2 gold medals. No one else has ever done it. No one else likely ever will. He was the perfect soldier, the perfect teammate, the perfect admiral.